don't really have much control over if this is successful or not, to be honest. Like, I don't run the CNC machines. I'm not the genius behind marketing. I'm not the genius behind machining, engineering. It's all them. When you have a team and they're that good and they're that excited and they believe in the mission that much that they're there till 8 every night and they're there on Saturday and they're there on Sunday, it's like, well, the least I can do is put all of my confidence behind them, which means my house. And it's all of those people that make that, like, where I can come home and go, as I'm starting to stress about almost $1 million a month in payroll, go, now we'll be fine. Like, I know my team, you know, they're not gonna let us down. Growing up in Lincoln, Montana, was a small town of about 1,000 people. I was playing Little League baseball. My parents were in the excavation business. I had a lawn mowing business. And my Little League baseball coach was Rick Dunkerley. He was a guide in the Bob Marshall Wilderness, had an elk guiding business. And he was a beginner knife maker, definitely not to the level that he is today. But he would bring his knives to practice and show those to the parents. And being an 11-year-old little boy, and the fact that he was also my baseball coach, I thought they were cool. And so I think I was always asking him lots and lots of questions. And then that winter, my parents bought one of his knives for me for Christmas. And then shortly thereafter, I think during Christmas break, he invited me up to make a knife in his shop. And I still remember that very vividly.
I can have right here in the vise. Mark it here, right on the line.
Right where the lines are?
Come in here and bevel that up.
His license plate is on his first car was PKB, Psycho Knife Boy.
I started developing this idea that I would be a full-time knife maker someday when I was in high school, but all of the old knife makers were telling me not to do that because it is a hard way to make a living as a custom knife maker. I always thought knife making would be this thing that I would chase and do, but my parents' excavation business would be my future. Like, I always thought I would make knives, and I always thought, well, I'm gonna become this really good knife maker on the side, and it'll be just for fun, it won't be pressure. And I was also really proud of my dad's business and what we did there, so I always thought I would take over his business. I spent a lot of time with like an inferiority complex as a kid, because like, they never told me good job. Like, they were hard on me. And I was constantly trying to catch them and make a knife as good as they were making it, all my mentors. But frankly, they were all getting better. You know, I was going to school, so they were working 8 hours a day at becoming a better knife maker, and I was working before and after school. There was a big sense of relief when I passed the Mastersmith test, and you know, honestly, it was relief because by that point, I'd had a lot of articles written about me in the knife magazines. People knew who I was. So when I showed up and I wasn't like the cute little kid anymore, I'm 19 years old, that was stressful. And I did feel like I made some pretty good knives for that test. And I think I deserved to pass it at that time. Again, I think that was the moment where it was like, okay, I'm now a peer. You don't pass the Mastersmith test without kind of deserving it. I think where you saw a gigantic improvement in my knives was when I wasn't in high school, I wasn't in college, and I was a full-time knife maker. And then my skill level just shot up and I caught a lot of those guys pretty quickly, you know, or at least got on their level. You know, all the old guys can tell you don't do this as a full-time living, but you kind of have that arrogant part of you like, well, I'll do it better and I'll make a living at it, right? And I think I kind of had to find out for myself how hard that was. But when I got married, I knew there would be more opportunity raising a family in like Missoula. And so that was really the change when I decided to move to Missoula and not stay in Lincoln. It's like, well, taking my parents' excavation business over is not the thing. And so I worked here for 1 year as a construction guy running excavators. And then the day I closed on my house in Frenchtown, I quit my job. and I went full-time making knives. But I was becoming one of the better knife makers in the country. I also had 4 young kids and started realizing, yeah, those old guys were right. Like, this is a starving artist type situation. But I was seeing the news of the day, which that was 2008, 9, 10. There was a housing crash, right? And the economy was dropping out, and $5,000 knives were the first thing to leave people's budget. And so around 2009 was when I started thinking, you know, a day job with benefits would be nice. So that's when I quit making knives full time and went and got the job with the power company. When I quit making knives full time and took that job at the power company, there was a lot of stress, but there was also a real sense of failure, kind of like, I'm this boy wonder knife maker. At that point, one of the best knife makers in the nation for sure. And like, he's quitting. Then my house burned down. That's when like it felt like everything in the world was on top of me. Divorced, house burned down, living in a camper, an apprentice lineman. I was trying to figure out how to afford to even hold on to my place, much less rebuild a home, couldn't afford a decent vehicle. And so the idea of Montana Knife Company was not even a thought. It was the following year, that's the year I met Jess. And when we started dating, that's when I started telling her the idea of Montana Knife Company. And finally she was like, well, I got the house and kids, like, go do it. What really spurred it off was when her dad passed away. And she wanted to buy a couple horses, but she said, take that money and go buy the steel to start Mkc. And so in 2019, I bought the steel to build the first 200 Blackfoots. You know, I'd made a few prototypes in my shop, and I got a cool, you know, invitation to go to this event called Winter Strong. And so through that event, I was introduced to Brandon Horaho. He was actually in Montana. I was seeking out somebody who could do some photo work, videography. I kind of explained what Montana Knife Company could be, and Brandon was like, well, I can build you a website. So he went home, sent me like a sample page like the next day, and I was like, damn, this is it. Like, he just got the feel of what I was explaining.
Hey everybody, thanks for jumping on. I haven't done a live and actually, gosh, I don't know, working on these little production knives for a new company that I'm starting called Montana Knife Company. It's small and mostly just an idea right now. The website should hopefully be up here in, I don't know, maybe a week. I think it's nearly done. Got a really good guy building me a site right now.
Then we started to like actually like put some knives out for sale, and you know, we sold those first Blackfoots, and then we put 200 more up later that fall, and they just like vanished. And the more knives we put up, the quicker they sold. And so my wife was really starting to pressure me into like, you should quit your job. By September of 2020, I couldn't afford to pay Brandon anymore. And I was like, you know, will you partner on this? Will you become my business partner? And so after some chatting, we partnered up on it. Instead of paying him to do it, I wanted him to be all in. And I knew to grow this the way we needed to, like, somebody had to focus on marketing. I think when I quit my job was when Brandon was like, oh, right, well, here we go. Like, this guy's actually serious about this.
I am now a full-time knife maker. About 5 minutes ago, I quit my job. When I'm 60 years old someday, I could not have looked in the mirror and wondered what it would have been if I would have believed in myself more and gone full-time. So I'm making the jump. You know, I always tell my kids to pursue their passions and don't be afraid to take risks in life. So guess I gotta live by that. So here we go.
So January 1st of 2021 is what we really consider like the first day of Montana Knife Company for real. One of the most important moments in our company's history was hiring Tristan. I'd go in at night and be like, I have employees. There was a lot of pressure there with like, I hope they don't know that I don't know what I'm doing. But I leaned on those guys, and they were incredible. And they were what made building the building that we're sitting in right here, which is 2.0, possible. This building really allowed us to test if this was real or not, Montana Knife Company, if it was really gonna explode or not. And we're trying to move out of that little garage right there to this big facility here. And that all is as a direct result of your guys' support. Until we moved out, every single day I would pull into this driveway, like just pride, like, God, look what we built in our backyard. And look at what we did to the industry from my backyard. We changed the industry. We took over the hunting knife industry in my backyard. I actually don't really love the way it is now, just because like, it's like the heart and soul of this is gone, because that was the people, that was the vibe, the buzz, the music.
Ray, congratulations, man. You made it to the VIP program.
Man, I'll never forget like just the noise in here, and this building just like vibrated. It was just so cool. Again, it's not about the building, it's about the people that are within it. It was becoming pretty obvious in the middle of 23 that like we were gonna outgrow this building real fast, because we started to buy manufacturing equipment that filled this thing real quick. And I started realizing if we scaled at all, we weren't gonna have room for that. A guy started talking to me and saying, hey, did you know the stockyards are for sale? You know, we went up and looked at it, and it was a disaster. But when I stood on that property and just walked around it, I could just see our building sitting on the hill and visualize like when people come up this hill and they arrive into Missoula, the first business that they're gonna see, it's not a big giant corporate chain, it's Montana Knife Company. The only way to build and launch a folding knife was to build and launch that building. We probably could have launched a folding knife in the building that I'm sitting in, but all the parts would have had to have been made out of house, because we didn't even have enough room in this building to scale up enough in this building to make all of our fixed blades. We were far insufficient in where we needed to be to even really run a full fixed blade knife company, much less build a folding knife company. This knife's been working flawlessly for months. I know we weren't there on hard mill, but we were. Like, this thing's still perfect, and I've worn 1/8 of an inch of it off the blade. And I've scraped tape off of my floor, and I've done everything with it. And it's still perfect, okay? You guys got to have a little confidence in yourselves to just say, let's go. And then let's have confidence in our team to adapt on the fly. Because if I would have waited to make everything perfect on the Blackfoot or whatever, we'd have never gotten to where we got here in this amount of time. But it feels a little bit like you guys are hesitant to just like go. And I'm saying you have my backing, go. Let's go. Yeah, if the Blackfoot had failed, there wouldn't be a Montana Knife Company, right? Beyond the Blackfoot, the folding knife is definitely the most significant moment in our company history, because we've invested, frankly, millions of dollars into that one knife. And ultimately, we settled on a liner lock folder, which is my roots. I mean, the folding knives that I made were all liner lock folders. We took the liner lock knife and we made it different and we made it better. Our engineers actually took and engineered that liner lock. Because I've made so many folding knives in my life, I didn't think it would be this big of a deal. But I never made folding knives at scale. It's one thing to make one, it's another thing to make 100,000. And these guys are using the most incredible technological CNC machines on planet Earth. And you have to write all the programs for it. And that's what I'm so proud of is like, we aren't launching a folder and having a bunch of other pieces made everywhere. Like, we're making the pieces. And not only that, our guys are making the fixturing to hold the pieces. They're writing the programs to make a fixture on this machine to then put in this machine to hold the folding blade to then make the folding blade. I just can't express how much work and effort and God, how god dang smart these guys are to actually make it happen. It's incredible.
Put curvature on this, the more you end up with weird offsets, like in this area, right? This would stick out, that would tuck in, and then you have this fastener that's like really, you know, looks kind of crazy in there, looks offset at an angle or something like that. So we have to be kind of careful.
Having a talent like Ryan is it's immeasurable at the front end of this, because he's designed so many award-winning knives, frankly, for other companies. Sometimes it makes it a little hard for me. Like, I question myself if I should like question him, because like he's such an expert. Because we had some other blade shapes that we were looking at, and Ryan's like, no, this is you. This is like MKC. This is our DNA. You know, it was really, really cool because Ryan's actually like leaning in a little bit of some of the stuff that I've done.
He wanted to have the ultimate EDC knife, something super thin, lightweight, but still robust, and tell the story of Montana Knife Company not being like underbuilt or weak looking or flexible or whatever. It had to have an element of strength to it, but it had to be super easy to carry. I remember that was kind of the early vision of it. And then having that backdrop of like the history. Montana Knife Company was and is a new company, but they had a big heritage of Josh's custom folders. They had the Blackfoot. They had some stuff that was doing really well. And so why not kind of expand on that? And so that was my first real attack on this project. It was to take this kind of heritage design of Montana Knife Company and get a really killer blade to handle ratio on this thing and make it super easy to carry. Really kind of basic criteria, but this is also the first folding knife. We just wanted to kind of represent the brand as good as we can. It seems so simple. It's a lock and a pivot, blade and handle. It's just a folding version of a fixed blade. It's not. It's a whole system that has to work together. This folding knife is very thin. It's super thin. We can make it flat, okay? But we chose to 3D mill it. That's expensive. That takes time. We chose to put a little tiny texture on it just because it adds that little extra bit of grip. Even that little texture has to have a purpose. And so a lot of that's just taking little bits of information and trying to apply it to a product. And I think what's gonna happen, this is what I hope happens, is they look at it and they go, okay, that's a pretty knife. That's a nice knife. That functions well. It looks good. Of course, it looks like a high-end knife. But over the next few months, they look at it, they go, that's cool. You know, there's certain things on it that are just little pieces of detail that you have to get close to it. Maybe you discover it later, maybe you disassemble something, you're like, whoa, they took the time to like do that. That's different. That's a different thing than most manufacturing companies would do. Take the time to like make it interesting. And I think maybe that's the story of this first knife, is it's a common mechanism that's made very high-end and interesting. And I think we did that with every single part on the knife. We have the logo in a certain spot. Well, that's hard because we had to clock it. You don't have to do that, but they chose to do it. Like we chose to do the hard way, you know? So it's a simple knife done the hardest way possible.
I think custom knife makers a lot of times like I was this way. I looked at knives made on machines as like kind of heartless, soulless, but I have learned the art form that is what we're doing right now today. And it is absolutely an art form. Like you walk in there and see what Ryan is designing on the computer, and then how a guy's taking this abstract kind of drawing and turning it into an engineered plan. But then that plan goes into making it into steel, and like it doesn't go to plan. And then you start tweaking those machines and the programs, and it's 100% an art form.
Plus, we didn't even break a tool. Like, how bad could the crash be if you don't break the tool? Taper still looks pretty clean. Obviously, this is where it spun itself to death, but the tool's nice and sharp. It's a good tool.
We don't even start the folding knife, and we don't even get to 3.0, the building, without Dylan Tanner. I did a lot of interviewing for machinists when I hired Dylan, And when I met with him and talked to him, he just had so much excitement and passion, but he was so young. Like sitting in front of me, he looked like a kid. And I just had no idea how really, truly how talented he was until he started here. And then here's the thing about Dylan that's special. He is so much better today than he was 3 years ago when we hired him. Like he is so freaking good. He wants to learn. He is one of the absolute reasons that we're here today.
I'm Dylan Tanner. I handle a lot of the manufacturing here in-house, overseeing those processes, implementing new processes, and really turning people's ideas and computer models into physical things that you can hold. There's a million people out there that can make a thing to a very, very tight tolerance. A big difference, like here at MKC, doing that over and over and over and over and building processes that can consistently do that without a bunch of human intervention every time. That's the hard part. And that's like why this is so expensive and takes so long. Like if we just wanted to make a folder, if we wanted to make 1,000 folders, like we could probably start to finish do that in a couple months. But making a process that could produce like hundreds of thousands of folders on the same tooling, same fixturing, that takes years. If you're just looking at these machines with the doors closed, like there's thousands of companies in the world that have this exact same mill that are making really cool parts, but it's typically an operator standing in front of a machine, bolting stuff onto a tray or flipping stuff manually in devices. The amount of production that we get out of the same package, unattended, with super good quality and QC checks and like the tolerances we're holding, I don't know of another company, even outside the knife industry, like I don't know of another company doing so much with so little. That first assembly that we put together that actually functioned how it should, I mean, that's literally thousands of man hours of programming and engineering and FEA and setup and making tooling and like 20 different people with different skill sets on different days for years, all coming together into like one tiny object. And it's like, it's a light knife, but like a heavy moment. Most companies have a very clear line between like, here's machining and here's engineering and like, here's no man's land and nobody goes across. We're pretty good at hiring people that are very skilled. So like Mac is an excellent example. He's a degreed engineer, but he can come out here and he can program this machine and he can make a part. And that's super uncommon in industry. Like I would hire 10 of that guy if I could find him. Bridging that gap helps solve a lot of those problems. We still hit things like on the handle, holding super tight tolerances in G10. Like we're near the material limit for like how consistent we can manufacture. But we're pretty good as a business. Like if we have a problem and if there's pushback with like a valid reason for the pushback, we're not arbitrarily going to be like, no, I'm not going to change it. Like we'll move, we'll change.
We tell our employees, we have since day one, if you think in your head, this is stupid, you should say it out loud. And then we should figure out why it's stupid and fix it.
Just trying to dial in the detent location. So it keeps the blade tight when it's closed. Has good detent strength.
And was this a success?
We successfully learned to change the position of the detent. Yeah, no, Mac will make a small tweak and we'll retest.
Ian's another one of those that he came along and I could tell he was a really smart kid. But there again, he's super young. Like Dylan, he's very much like Dylan, where it's like, you kind of know you're sitting in front of somebody that's special, but you don't fully understand what you're about to get. Dylan and Ian are different. Like Dylan is such a doer. You know, with Dylan, it'd be like, hey man, I was thinking of jumping off a bridge and then I hear something and I look over and Dylan already jumped off of it. Like, well, I wasn't thinking right now. Like Dylan is gone. And that's what makes him special. He's a doer. Like, hey, I was thinking about making this knife. All right, let's make it tonight. I'll be out at your shop. Ian is like, you know, I'm thinking about jumping off the bridge. And Ian's like, well, I'm going to build a bridge first to jump off of, right? And Ian is so meticulous. He's so planned. Everything's coordinated, calculated. And he's so good for the rest of the shop because he adds structure to what we're doing. You know, without him, we wouldn't have had this like organization to the process. And honestly, I'm afraid we'd have probably launched the folder with issues that would have come up and bite us later. Like, I think Ian will be the reason that when we launch this folder, it goes well and we don't have like customer service going, guys, we have a problem. Like, that's Ian.
My name's Ian Shellman. I oversee the engineering team here at Montana Knife Company. Like, being able to make something perfect one time, it's difficult. Being able to make something perfect thousands of times, completely different animal. What that looks like for the engineering team is designing a process, both on the manufacturing and assembly side, that we can lean into. It's repeatable. We don't have to have someone hand sanding, hand buffing things every step of the way. It goes back into like that front end development and how substantial that work is, because we need to be able to establish a process that works all the time. We don't want like a featherweight plastic handles that you can squeeze together. Like, we want a substantial knife that'll hold up, but we also want it to be light, and we want it to be as slicey and buttery as we could possibly make it. That's kind of the best of all the worlds in the knife industry. So we had our work cut out for ourselves, but I think we did it.
Let's go.
You might want to see this.
Oh, look at this.
Let's go.
So the only thing not production on that is we don't have the right clip screws, which is the same screw that holds that in.
Okay. Damn. That feels good. It's light.
There's not one off-the-shelf part in this knife. Every single part in the knife is custom designed and custom machined for this specific knife. So that's really exciting. We had full design freedom to do whatever we wanted with this knife, and we optimized in every spot that we could. Our liner material is harder than almost any liner you'll find in a liner lock. That's for wear resistance and strength. Really, the entire pivot mechanism is intended to be as strong and buttery as we could possibly make it. That emphasis, again, comes from Josh's background as a custom knife maker, not making concessions on the product, even if it's difficult. Very few companies take the time to actually study the mechanics and the loading conditions that go into the liner lock. Tolerances play a big impact here, but also just how you flow the forces from the blade lock face all the way through to the root of the liner. We were very intentional to load the lock in as straight a compression as possible. Bending is really the shortcoming or the pitfall of a lot of liner locks, so we did everything we could to resist bending in that lock under any loading condition. That is also one thing that contributes to how smooth and precise the mechanism feels, especially on the detent side. When a customer picks up the knife and they feel how smooth it is and precise and crisp the detent is, that's all very intentional with how we're loading that lock bar in both the extended, open condition and also when it's collapsed with the detent. That's all very, very intentional, and you can feel it in the knife.
This liner lock, if you're a knife maker, you will see that this liner lock is different than any other liner lock out there. Like, it's different. You look at the knife from, the back of it, you don't see the liners. Usually there's 2 handle scales, a liner on each side, and either little pins between it or a full back bar. There's handle scales on this, and they're held together, they're pinned together, and there's no liners, there's no nothing else. That saves a bunch of weight. It's also much more difficult to do because we actually had to machine in the backside of those G10 handle scales for the liner to fit in there. Then everything has to fit perfectly. It is way different than every other liner lock in the world, for sure. And it's my favorite, but I'm very biased. But it is by far my favorite. I have not seen a factory, quote unquote, production liner lock that rivals this one anywhere.
This was kind of the last piece we're waiting on, and we're gonna take these out. This should give us the first 20 full production parts that we're assembling into done knives. So
yep. So this will give us our final confirmation that all of our parts dimensionally are perfect. Our manufacturing processes are making good parts, and that'll give us confidence to go make hundreds and hundreds of these rather than a batch of 20.
So that's the other half of the liner. So those 2 pieces go like that. Blade goes between them. These go in the handles.
sharpen it? Do it. No pressure.
No pressure.
Sweet. Yeah, it looks really good.
How does it make you feel?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. It's for me it's more of a relief, but I think for these guys it's just a huge sense of accomplishment because they've been working their absolute tails off to make this happen. But we've been talking about this for a couple of years, so it's pretty cool to hold it in this building and see it come into fruition. As much as I want to say that I hope the customers like it, I really can't wait when we start seeing the response to see what our employees think. The satisfaction that I think our manufacturing team, engineering team, everybody in our building, I just want to see that satisfaction of like the accomplishment. I just can't express how much work this has been for them. And I'm really excited to see them like that's going to be a fun drop party. You know, that's going to be fun. The folder and the building are like the real actual beginning of Montana Knife Company. I've been saying it to our employees all the time, like, wait till we get out of my horse pasture. Wait till we have more than 2 bathrooms for 100 people, right? Like, wait till you're not parking at my barn. Wait till we have a place where we can actually tell our customers that they can come visit us. For the last 3 years, I've had a no trespassing, do not enter sign at our building because it's my home. Like, just wait. It's Montana. It's hard work, it's dedication, it's drive, it's excitement, it's unknown, it's wild, it's chaotic, it's failure, it's success. It's Montana. I'm going to be the one that gets the credit for the Montana. But it's really the team behind me that deserves it.